Welcome to your Houston Rewind. I'm KHU 11 digital anchor Brandy Smith. We know that catching up on the news can be a little overwhelming, especially in a city like Houston where it just doesn't stop. So every weekend, we're taking this opportunity to fill you in on some of the stories you may have missed. On Monday, the city of Houston announced the launch of a gun buyback program, an attempt to curb our area's gun violence. Zach Tawatari explains why Houston leaders think the program will make our streets safer.
We can't take action by removing guns from the street. It has become a public health crisis.
Harris County Precinct 1 Commissioner Rodney Ellis is alongside Houston Police Chief Troy Finner.
If people want to bring a gun back in and for whatever reason and get some money, it helps in crime.
Announcing a new gun buyback program set to take place Saturday, July 30th, right here at the historic Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church.
We have to get weapons off the street, out of the hands of people who should not have them.
This video from a recent Fort Worth gun buyback. The last time the city of Houston hosted a gun buyback was around the year 2000. According to the new program, people will receive gift cards, $50 for a non-functioning gun, $100 for a rifle or shotgun, $150 for a handgun, and $200 for an automatic rifle. Officials believe this program will be effective as part of the mayor's One Safe Houston program, citing the success of other recent gun buybacks in cities like LA, where they say the line was so long they ran out of gift cards.
If we can get one gun off the streets that prevents a murder or aggravated assault, I'm all for it as a chief.
According to the commissioner, as of May, 19 young people had died of gun violence this year alone in Harris County. He says it was important to make this buyback happen before school started again, especially in the wake of the Uvalde tragedy.
We want to send a signal, and it's a way that the community can participate.
Here's the deal. Guns will be accepted, no questions asked. However, if a gun is found to be stolen, it will be returned to its owner, and if it was part of a crime, that will be investigated. We have more information on KHOU.com. Texas doctors are expressing concern about the health of their patients in the weeks since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. That's due to situations like those reported by the Dallas Morning News. Some hospitals are refusing to treat women with serious pregnancy complications. Melissa Correa talked to the physicians fighting to keep politics out of their exam rooms.
I think what I would say to women in the state, including my own patients, is just know that your doctors are fighting on your behalf.
Dr. John Thoppel leads the Texas Association of OBGYNs, 3,000 doctors who were calling on politicians for clarity. The state's anti-abortion laws have some healthcare workers fearing felony charges and fines, like pharmacies now refusing to fill prescriptions for methotrexate.
It makes no sense.
It's the standard of care for ectopic pregnancies. That's when a fertilized egg implants outside the uterus. The egg cannot survive, and if left to grow, it could threaten a woman's life.
So if you have an ectopic pregnancy before it needs surgery, this is the treatment. So by not providing methotrexate, we really could be killing people.
Houston mother Marlene Estelle says she had to carry her dead fetus for 2 weeks because her doctor refused to perform the necessary procedure.
She said there is no heartbeat, there is no viable pregnancy.
The surgery, commonly known as DNC, can also abort a living fetus. Marlena says she had to get multiple ultrasounds to prove her baby's death in order to get its remains removed.
It's like I can't grieve or move past it because I'm just walking around carrying it.
Texas doctors who do the right thing and surgically remove a dead fetus could be vulnerable to an expensive lawsuit.
Any private citizen can walk in the court and say, I think Dr. Smith performed an abortion.
It's why the Dallas Morning News is reporting a group of more than 50,000 physicians are calling on the Texas Medical Board to intervene.
It is ludicrous, but unfortunately, that's what we are dealing with right now. All these unintended consequences and everybody being scared even to do the right thing.
Melissa Correa, KHOU 11 News.
The Biden administration says federal law overrides state abortion laws when a woman's life is at risk. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is now suing the White House. This week, most of us probably sought refuge from the heat inside air conditioning. Some animal shelters, though, are so full, they're forced to keep dogs in outdoor kennels. Jason Miles explains how you can help give them some relief.
During these dog days of summer, the overcapacity Fort Bend Animal Services shelter is searching for help.
Now, just because of the extreme heat,
Director Rene Vasquez and his team took to social media over the weekend, posting about the need for hot weather fosters, even if it's just for the day.
any type of help, is greatly appreciated because they don't stop coming in.
He says, like in many other shelters, surrenders are way up, and due to no-kill policies, indoor-outdoor kennels here meant for single animals are being used for two, with about 60 currently on the outside in areas heated in the winter, but without AC in the summer.
These animals deserve love, deserve somebody to take care of them.
Volunteer Angela Taylor, who's already fostering 4 baby kittens and another cat,
She has some skin conditions, some injuries.
decided to add a rescued pooch named Polly in need of a cool place to heal.
When I saw her picture, I told my husband, we gotta help this girl. We need to bring her home.
She's fortunate enough to work from home and encourages others who may be willing and able to answer the shelter's call.
You got to kind of find, that perfect match if you have animals or if you have cats, and we'll do everything we can to try to match you up.
You can find out more information about fostering pets from this shelter or others across the Houston area on KHOU.com. Reporting from Rosenberg, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Abortion, guns, and trans rights are all issues a massive group of Texas moms is taking up with the governor. The political action committee called Mothers Against Greg Abbott is getting a new level of attention thanks to a now viral ad shared on social media. On Tuesday, Gerald Harris talked to the group's founder.
They say nothing changes in Texas politics until it does.
Till it does.
Till the Texas power grid failed and our families froze without water and electricity.
A group of Texas moms are on the attack against Governor Greg Abbott and his leadership ahead of November's election, and they're not holding back.
Until white Texas politicians removed our history from the classroom.
Till they made it legal to buy a gun without a permit and openly carry it.
Mothers Against Greg Abbott is a political PAC backed by Texas moms. The new ad has millions of views with a Facebook group of 45,000.
Our time to fight for Texas is now.
Nancy Thompson is the founder of Mothers Against Greg Abbott and says the ad is a call to action for women voters.
Most Texas women have felt the brunt to some extent to Greg Abbott's actions over the last year.
Thompson says the group is made up of a diverse coalition of moderate Republicans, Democrats, and independent women.
Listen, we all need to work together for change for Texas and for ourselves so we can have our own personal freedoms and rights back, but also to help save and protect our families.
Texas politicians put a $10,000 bounty on anyone who helped a woman get an abortion.
Till we were called child abusers for loving and supporting our transgender children.
The group is supporting Beto O'Rourke for governor and hopes to contribute in getting people to the polls.
KHOU 11 reached out to Governor Greg Abbott's campaign for comment, but has not heard back. This may be a sensitive question, but how high is your water bill? What seems like non-stop heat is wreaking havoc on lawns and shrubs, even if you have a sprinkler system. Lauren Tallarico shares some tips that can help.
With little help from Mother Nature. It takes a whole lot of sprinklers to keep a yard green.
We have a pretty significant drought all
Sarah
across
Barnes with the National Weather Service says the combination of drought and high temperature is thanks to a 1-2 punch.
We're certainly seeing more extreme weather due to climate change. We're also seeing a repeat of patterns like La Nina.
The National Weather Service says La Nina is like a vicious cycle, driving warmer and drier conditions north, which creates a drought. That, in turn, prompts more hot temperatures, getting the weather pattern stuck in a heat dome. With the only relief for lawns coming from irrigation.
Basically, everything is suffering to one degree or another.
Mike Arnold with Texas A&M has some tips, though, to help keep the green in your yard and your wallet. First, run sprinklers early in the morning so the water has time to soak in before the sun rises. Most experts say between 4 and 6 a.m. Second, if you're trying to cut down on that water bill, prioritize. The ground around your home comes first to protect foundations, then mature trees, and lastly, flower beds and lawns.
Because a lot of those can rebound pretty quickly.
Arnold also suggests watering 50% longer, but only every other day. I'm Lauren Tellerico, KHOU 11 News.
In case you missed it, the mayor of Houston declared July 19th Ron Trevino Day. Ron celebrating 40 years of bringing the news to Houston at KHOU 11. Reka Mudaraj shows us how this award-winning journalist came from humble beginnings.
Amanda, you can barely hear me, I know.
Most people in the Houston area know Ron Trevino as the longtime anchor at KHOU.
Series of town hall meetings, 13 fatalities, many injuries.
Known for his serious coverage of major events
from Ron Trevino.
Over the last 40 years.
Ron?
Marlene, the suspect was taken into custody.
And his serious sense of humor.
I have a huge head, so what does that mean in terms of the hat?
Your head's not that big. But, you know.
Those who've known him the longest say Ron has always been, well, Ron. Born February 1st, 1959, in Corpus Christi, Texas, Ronaldo Camilo Trevino was the seventh of 8 kids.
We grew up in an environment in an underserved community, lots of ups and downs in the family, lots of tragedy. We had a lot of tragedy.
His brother John Trevino admits,
I think he was my mom's favorite. I'm just gonna say that. Mom used to call him Piquito de Oro, and in Spanish that means golden beak, right? So because he used to talk so intelligently as a kid.
They would always find him in his room, just sitting there with his poofy hair and big headphones and a tape recorder, just practicing, just trying to make little commentaries and pretend he's on the radio or reporting the news.
In high school, he began working in news as a weekend photographer at KIII in Corpus.
And I was shooting stories, and this was the 70s. And the news director comes up and says, well, would you like to go out and shoot the story yourself and write it? And then the next thing you know, they're asking me, can you put a newscast together?
When he came here to finish his degree at the University of Houston, he got a job at KHOU.
Everybody thinks of Ron now as the anchor, and sometimes they think of him previously as the reporter. But way before anchoring and reporting, Ron was a producer.
But Ron didn't stay behind the camera for very long.
Thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Soon, he was in front of it, reporting on stories across the Houston area. In 2001,
good morning, everyone.
He got a seat at the anchor desk, doing the morning news.
When the pressure got really intense, he kind of changed back to, I'm gonna keep everything just patient and professional, and just do things the right way.
You know the saying, the rest is history. But for Ron, it's his roots that have kept him grounded.
My humble beginnings, I'm still a kid who grew up poor in Corpus, and I'll always be that kid. And I'm happy for that. It gives me perspective on everything that happens from here till I die.
We went all out for Ron's anniversary. You can watch more on our KHOU 11 YouTube channel. Students go back to school next month, and before they do, districts are working to make campuses safer, especially after the shooting in Uvalde. On Wednesday, Jason Miles shared why doors and locks are getting a lot more attention.
Between its original building and newer addition, HISD's Milby High School campus features dozens of exterior doors. They're among more than 300,000 the Texas Education Agency wants districts statewide to check as a result of Uvalde.
It is definitely one of my worst nightmares.
Milby principal Ruth Pena says making sure doors are in working order is an everyday issue, and there are staff directives to keep them shut and locked during the school day, not to mention monitored by select personnel.
And I'm not going to tell you that, no, we've never had, just a kid from another campus trying to come in and skip here, things like that. We have had that happen, but it's caught right away.
In its report released this week, a Texas State House committee investigating the Uvalde tragedy cited multiple lapses aside from the police response. According to the report, quote, in violation of school policy, no one had locked any of the 3 exterior doors to the west building of Robb Elementary. As a result, the attacker had unimpeded access to enter.
Classroom locks are another issue after one of the ones in Uvalde was reportedly broken but had been complained about.
Some districts have installed classroom doors with what are known as intruder lock sets, which remain secured automatically during the school day. And the state is offering money to districts who may need financial or technical support for retrofits. hopefully shutting the door on at least one issue coming out of Uvalde.
I think it just opened a lot of eyes and made it a little bit more serious because it could happen to any of us.
Jason reached out to other districts about security too. You can find their responses in this article on khou.com. Another impact of the reversal of Roe v. Wade, OBGYN offices are being overwhelmed with requests for tubal ligation. Melissa Correa breaks down why more women are opting to get their tubes tied.
Dr. Sherry Levin is seeing such a surge in patients.
Oh my gosh, our phones are ringing off the hook.
The only time we could fully respect their privacy is during the doctor's lunch hour.
This feels in our patients' minds emergent.
In the week since the Supreme Court reversed Roe v. Wade, Houston OBGYNs are reporting more women wanting to become sterilized by having their fallopian tubes removed.
They're scared. All it takes is, it's my birthday and I had sex with my husband and his condom failed. My birth control pill failed. So yeah, it feels like an emergency to them. They're like, how soon can you do it?
Or they're wanting long-term birth control, like an IUD, which is implanted into a woman's uterus.
If we don't want to be pregnant, we should be using birth control. But it's a different sense now for people. They just realize their choice is gone.
And high-risk patients realize the legal consequences doctors now face. State law allows citizens to sue doctors suspected of providing abortion procedures, which are also used when a woman miscarries. Some Texas pharmacies now refusing to fill prescriptions for methotrexate, a medication that helps a woman with an ectopic pregnancy. That's when an egg fertilizes outside of the uterus with no way for the egg to develop.
Yeah, it's really sad, isn't it?
One of Dr. Levin's patients wants to conceive through IVF.
She called and asked, will I take care of her? Because if it comes down to her health or her baby's health, I can be in a pickle. But you still got to do the right thing and you still have to take care of patients. You just do.
The flip side of this story, vasectomies. More men are getting those too. You can find the story we did last week on khou.com. As drought conditions worsen, we're starting to see the effect in our trees. Matt Doherty offers some tips to give your trees their best chance of survival.
Turgid is the word used to describe the leaves of a healthy, well-hydrated tree. Leaves that are green, pliable, and attached securely to their branches. But at this point, some trees are starting to show the initial signs of stress.
It varies from species to species, and it varies from the age and the time from planting for each of the trees.
Arborist Fran De La Mota is the director of horticulture at the Houston Botanic Garden. He's monitoring the impact of the drought on the Houston area's trees. For now, the well-established live oaks revered by Houstonians are faring relatively well, he says. But that isn't the case for all of our trees.
We also have post oaks in the area, and these are actually suffering considerably from the drought.
Back in 2011, the drought was so severe, many of the city's trees did not survive. Those who were here may remember the images from Memorial Park, when the victims of dehydration were ultimately cut down and cleared. In order to prevent that from happening to the trees in your care, De La Mota says regular monitoring is essential.
The trees will start giving signs of whether they need water or not.
Those signs, De La Mota says, include leaves that are beginning to droop.
Don't let the plant look desperate in order to water it, because sometimes then it's too late.
Trees planted within the last year will need a deep watering each week. Older trees may not need as much. With water conservation measures underway in many parts of the Houston area, De La Mota says tree owners should begin to prioritize
what plants are very important in your landscape and you for sure want to preserve, and which ones you are willing to maybe let go.
In West Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
The triple-digit temperatures didn't stop on Thursday. In this kind of heat, the CDC recommends checking on seniors, at least twice a day because they are so much more susceptible to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Melissa Correa introduces us to a group in Fort Bend County that's volunteering to save lives.
On the third floor of the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, community connection.
Good morning, Carol. It's Mary Lou. How are you? I'm from Yana.
A daily reminder that you are not alone.
Good morning, Mary Lou. So far, so good. Got all my outside chores done and hiding out inside.
So that's our goal, is to be there for them.
Michael Kallenberg leads a team of background-checked and trained volunteers.
We do about 600 calls a month.
Who call on older neighbors on a specific day at a specific time.
Is there anything that we can do for you?
Just do a rain dance or something when you rain it.
You have to look at it this way. We're a part of your family. We live here in Fort Bend and we care about one another.
The 4-year-old program, priority for Sheriff Eric Fagan.
This heat wave right now is dangerous numbers where people can actually die in their homes.
So if neighbors don't answer the first time, call makers will reach out 2 more times within 30 minutes. No answer signals a call to the person's emergency contact and Fort Bend County Dispatch.
And we'll have a welfare check done by either a deputy or a police officer.
Deputies have pulled neighbors off their kitchen floors. Volunteers will change air filters, light bulbs, install portable AC units.
No charge whatsoever. We try to fill in the gap where there's a gap.
It's great to have somebody who calls in Fort Bend.
Human connection.
So that voice is that lifeline.
During some of the hottest months of the year.
You stay cool and be sure you drink your water today, okay?
I have it right here beside me.
Good
Thank you
deal.
very much, and you have a wonderful day, and stay healthy yourself. And
Thank
I
you.
will talk with you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
To register a senior citizen who lives alone, all you have to do is text the word HEAT to the number on your screen, 713-526-1111. The person you're calling for needs to agree to those phone calls. A ranch manager in Tomball says he owes his life to a 16-year-old ranch hand. The teen had only been on the job for a couple of months when he jumped into action. Zach Tawatari talked to both of them about what happened.
Sitting on some 60 acres in Tomball,
You see that calf along that fence?
ranch manager Bill Rowan-Fans has been baling hay or steering cattle.
Run them in here and bring them through the chute.
Here at Cedarbrook Farms for nearly 40 years.
Since about 84.
But just last weekend, he says he was performing minor surgery on a calf like he'd done numerous times.
And I've never had a problem before.
Using a razor-sharp scalpel. Except this time.
And while I was working from the back here, the calf moved its leg and hit my arm, and my arm come over and slit right across here.
A gash.
About that long, just like I was trying to cut my thumb off.
He thought some paper towels might help.
And I realized my towels were already soaked through, and as I went to get another set of towels, took my hand off, and then it sprayed like that.
But luckily for Bill, he had a hand, specifically his new ranch hand. High school junior Shane Stevens, who realized
if you're squirting blood 6 inches, you have cut a major artery.
So Shane, who trains with special forces, grabbed a first aid kit from his truck and quickly applied a tourniquet.
Don't panic. Panic creates chaos.
After Shane drove him to a nearby Memorial Hermann satellite, Bill was transported by ambulance to the hospital's Woodlands location, where he says a hand surgeon stitched his artery back together.
Did it hurt? Not at all.
But without Shane's quick thinking, Bill says it could have been a much different story.
You know, it only takes 3 to 5 minutes and you're bleeding out.
It was Shane's first time using the tourniquet.
Grip this, snug it up.
And for Bill, luckily, not his last steer.
I was a goner.
A heroic act, he says, that shows the future, too, is in good hands.
This kid here saved my life.
Zach Tawatari, KHOU 11 News.
On the topic of heroes, I am genuinely curious if people who live outside of Houston understand how deeply J.J. Watt is loved by Texans fans and Houstonians as a whole. There are a lot of reasons, but Marcelino Benito shares the most recent one.
It's been very dreadful.
Tara Roderick lost her father Jerry 1 month ago, a day after Father's Day.
As a daughter, you can't bury your own father. It's painful.
For 4 weeks now, the family's been struggling to come up with the money to lay him to rest. So her niece, Jennifer, turned to Twitter.
It got to the point where I'm selling, valuable items on social media, items that mean stuff to me.
She tried to sell her J.J. Watt Women's Edition Reebok shoes and Watt Women's Texans jersey. She tweeted out, "Anyone interested?"
He's got so many followers and stuff, I never thought he'd even see it.
20 minutes later, number 99 replied with a retweet. He wrote, "Don't sell your shoes and jersey. We'll help with the funeral. I'm sorry for your loss."
I was just shaking. I'm like, is this for real? This dude doesn't even know me.
She called to let her Aunt Tara know right away.
I called her a liar. I'm like, ain't nobody famous gonna respond to you. You know, we're nobodies.
It didn't take long for Jennifer's phone to buzz again. JJ Watt sent her money via PayPal to help pay for the funeral.
For him to just like step up and help us, like it just lifted a burden off of us.
Oh my God, I almost had a heart attack.
But the story doesn't end there. JJ Watt's act of kindness prompted so much more.
This is a headline because he's famous, you know, but there's hundreds of people who have helped us.
The family now so close to having everything they need to say one last goodbye. A final farewell made possible thanks to so many strangers who wanted to help too.
These people don't even know us, you know, they don't know our story. They don't know what we've been going through this last month or anything like that. But it reminds me that, you know, there is good in the world.
Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
Local school districts like HISD still have hundreds of openings for teachers ahead of the school year. But on Friday, retired teachers who want to come back to the classroom told us they're running into roadblocks. Jason Miles explains.
Many districts are desperate for teachers right now, but putting retirees back to work may no longer be affordable.
65-year-old Lucy Moreno
My heart is in teaching. I love teaching.
is itching to get back in the classroom where she says her passion lies.
I wrongfully assumed that because they had such a great need for teachers, it wouldn't be difficult.
But many older and/or retired teachers report issues getting hired despite the teacher shortage.
There's been lots of chatter about rehires.
Amy Campbell is director of HR services for the Texas Association of School Boards and is among those citing legislation signed into law last year requiring districts to cover pension and certain healthcare surcharges rather than the retirees themselves, resulting in them costing significantly more than others.
I do think it was designed to benefit retirees, meaning they would get to keep more of that money that they make for returning to the classroom. However, I think it has backfired a little bit in that it has become unaffordable for many districts to hire them.
I'm told the Texas Education Agency's Teacher Vacancy Task Force is aware of the potential roadblock which teachers' unions and others would like removed given the current crisis.
We're wanting to work. Just because we're older doesn't mean that we can't work.
I got some good news from Ms. Moreno after our interview. She got a job offer that she hopes comes through. Meantime, the Teacher Retirement System of Texas provided a lot more information on all of this and answered some of my specific questions. Read more about that on KHOU.com. Reporting from Houston, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
As the number of monkeypox cases rises in Texas and here in Houston, there's misinformation being spread too. Investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes verifies what we know about the virus and its treatment.
Monkeypox is a new virus.
False. Monkeypox is not a new virus. Monkeypox was first described in the medical literature in the 1950s and has been infecting humans since at least the 1970s.
Monkeypox came from monkeys.
False. Although monkeypox is called monkeypox and was first described in monkeys, its original host or its natural host is some unknown animal, likely a rodent.
Monkeypox was created in a lab.
False. There's no evidence that monkeypox was created in the lab. In fact, it was first described in the 1950s when there weren't even those sophisticated technologies to make a virus in a lab.
Monkeypox is a sexually transmitted disease.
Although there is some data to show that the virus can be found in sexual fluids, it's primarily passing because of close contact that's inherent in sexual activity, not necessarily in sexual activity.
Monkeypox only affects gay and bisexual men.
False. Monkeypox can infect anybody, but what's happening in this outbreak is that it's heavily concentrated in a sexual social network. So we're seeing cases almost exclusively in men who have sex with men, although there have been some cases in other individuals.
Monkeypox is not as highly transmissible as smallpox or COVID-19.
True, monkeypox is not a very contagious disease, and it's certainly not as contagious as a respiratory virus like COVID-19.
We have more Verify stories on all kinds of topics on our website. Just go to khou.com/verify to check them out. Hope that helped catch you up on this past week. Now you're ready for the next one. Remember, you can tune into KHOU 11 on air, online via khou.com and YouTube, as well as by using our KHOU 11 Plus app on Roku and Fire TV. Have a great week.